When I spoke to Martin Gurri, the CIA analyst and writer of The Revolt of the Public, he said that there's been a fundamental shift in the discourse because centralized power can no longer control the narrative in the way that it once did through managed institutions, through censorship that was easier to exert. How do you find, and he indeed said that the terms of left and right are becoming, in a sense, defunct and more diffuse because it's now easier to view power in terms of centralized power versus peripheral power. Where do you find yourself as an independent journalist who reports continually on stories that, in a sense, require a trans-political coalition if ever there were to be a movement to change them, and how do you manage that space? When you said the thing about the Trumpers, let's call them, dropping off after you didn't toe the line with the election fraud story to the degree that they would emotionally want to, it's an interesting education in how this new space operates and what this new space affords. Clearly, economically, there is the possibility of creating and garnering kind of closed-loop media audiences that will remain devout as long as you continue to feed them the stories that they enjoy. And as you say, it's clear that those kind of organizations are emerging. And I must say, I feel the presence of that pull. Even when it comes to thumbnails, titling, you recognize there are certain narratives that are evocative and provocative. And I guess the sort of line I feel myself walking is, how do we harness this necessary, authentic and legitimate anti-establishment sentiment without falling into what I believe are the traps of some of the less savory tropes that tend to be alloyed with some movements in that space?
Deepfakes watching deepfakes of deepfakes. But they're not even deepfakes, they're just fakes.
Well, depending, of course, on the thematic treatment you're using, if you have the temerity to try to dramatize a theme that involves any particular social controversy currently extant, then you're in deep trouble. I have two little girls, then aged 5 and 3, who are greatly enamored of this beautiful collie, and they watched the show with great interest, and Lassie gave birth to puppies. And Mike, it was probably one of the most tasteful and delightful and warm things depicting what is this wondrous thing that is birth. And after the show, I think there were many congratulations all around because it was a lovely show. The sort of thing I'd love my kids to watch, to show them what is the birth process and how marvelous it is. They got many, many cards and letters. Sample card from the deep south, this was. If I wanted my kids to watch sex shows, I wouldn't have had them turn on that. I could take them to burlesque shows. And as a result of the influx of mail, many of the cards, incidentally, as Sheldon tells it, were postmarked at identical moments, all in the same handwriting, but each was counted as a singular piece of mail. And as a result, the directive went down that there would be no shows having anything to do with puppies, that is, in the actual birth process. Well, obviously, it is this wild lunatic fringe of letter writers that greatly affect what the sponsor has in mind. I think it's criminal that we're not permitted to make dramatic note of social evils as they exist, of controversial themes as they are inherent in our society. I think it's ridiculous that drama, which by its very nature should make a comment on those things that affect our daily lives, is in a position, at least in terms of television drama, of not being able to take this stand.